Going, it's your girl Safari Spice. This is the Kitchen TV, aka your girl Al Green, Al Boogie, whatever you want to call me, 007, whatever you want to call me. Don't call me late for dinner. What's up, TikTok? Hey, it's been a minute. I have not been on in a minute. It's just been that crazy year. I got a kid going off from college, and I got you know, work, traveling, all that other stuff. But I really miss you guys. I miss coming on here. It's been a while. So let me come on. I don't know if you guys have been following the Keffe D murder trial of the legendary Tupac Shakur. Um, I watched all of it. All was it 8 days, 9 days? It went fast. It went so fast. And before I came on here, I was like, I don't know, you guys believe in the Bible or what? I grabbed my Quran and I had to, I wanted to come on here and just have some discernment and give grace, because this is highly, highly emotional. It's a highly emotional situation. It's been a highly emotional situation for 30 years, because it wasn't just about Pac, right? It was about Big, and it was about the potential that two young, men of color, one was a father, one was engaged, one was married, Big was married and had a kid, a baby, a daughter, and Faith was pregnant and a baby on the way. And then we had Pac was engaged to Kiara and, Quincy Jones' daughter. And who knows how fruitful his life would have been. And both of them I found interesting, that both of them that in their music always talked about death. It was very, very morbid, what they would talk about. Ready to die, life after death. And I guess they're just basically, I'm from the Bronx. I don't know where you're from, but they're just talking about their surroundings and what they witness and what they see. And if you grow up somewhere, if you grow up in Harlem, and most of your friends by the time they don't make it to 18 or 21, you're gonna kind of feel like you're gonna be morbid too and say, well, I might not make it to 25. I might not make it. So F it. Let me just be reckless and do me and have fun and be passionate and all that stuff. So it's a highly emotional, situation. Um, Pop was my friend. I do consider him a friend. We didn't have a long friendship, and that word friend is, people tend to use it lightly. Um, but I definitely had love for him, and I do believe he had love for me, because he said it in the poetry that he wrote for me when we were on tour. And the reason why our friendship initially sparked or grew was that I was had a crush on someone on his set, and he had a crush on someone on my set. Shout out to Moni Love, and she's talked about it on other podcasts too. And he had a bad crush on Moni. It's like he'd always be elbowing me on tour, on the tour bus. He writing his little raps, his poems, and be elbow. I'm like, wow, why will you stop that? I like your girl. I think he admired her accent. I think he admired how gifted she was in her cadence, her flow of her rap. We were all young. She was probably like 19, just came over from England, and tell her, yo, man, you think she like me? Tell her you like me. And then I just became like his sister. I was just like a sister, and it was crazy. And then I actually first met him overseas. I believe it was in Germany, because we were label mates. We were on Tommy. Latifah was signed to Tommy Boys, not me. I was part of the group, but I was not signed to a label. But they were Latifah and Pac were label mates, and we met over in Germany with on the Sex Packets tour. I'm not gonna get in details on this. I didn't come on here to go about memory lane. I really wanted to talk about the trial, but it was definitely a vibe. And Money B, Fuse, all in them, they just, they embraced us. We embraced them. I felt safe. We had fun. We had a lot of water gun fights. Like I said, I'll come on here later and talk about that another time. But I have nothing but happy and good, memories. When I hear these stories about Pac, thug life and this, that, and shoot him up and gangbang, and that was just him and his. Everybody agrees Pac was not a gangster, right? Everybody agrees that. The Pac I knew, the early 89, 90, was fun loving, extremely passionate, very emotional. But I did see anger. I did see a couple of times where, especially when Heavy D's dancer died, Trouble T. Troy from Mount Vernon. I remember when he passed away, and Pac just got so angry. He took like a trash can, boom, and just like threw it in this department, in like a storefront, like a little. It was late at night. The store was closed, and glass shattered and everything. And that was just him, just feeling that why is life unfair? Where's the justice? Why does something bad have to happen to someone good? Like he's just a kid on tour dancing, and then all of a sudden he loses his life by a unfortunate accident. Um, like I said, I'm not gonna go down that road. I'll talk about that another time. I want to focus on this child, guys. Bear with me. I got a little ADD, so my focus be in and out, right? So, and I see that anger and that passion, and I'm sure there's a lot deep down inside of him, which came out in his music and his poetry, that he had a lot of pain. He had a lot of, he was carrying a lot of pain, and it was, he would lash out to release. Because if you're holding, or if like, if something festers and you just throw it on the rug, like in a lot of families they don't go to therapy, you don't have grief counseling, mommy daddy's not in the house, or daddy's absent, we don't have healthy dialogue, communication. When we sweep it on the rug, and then all of a sudden what's going to happen, that day is going to come, boom. Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body. That day is gonna come where it's gonna come out. That's why people have, what do you call it, road rage, right? Mm. I'm gonna mute this 1 second. My dog is going crazy. I don't know if you can hear that. My dog, the Amazon man is at the dog. My dog is going crazy. Anyway, lost my train of thought. So back to the trial, right? Yeah, he was just a passionate person. I mean, I can't even imagine being, his mother's incarcerated while she's pregnant with him. So that energy that the baby feels, when a woman is pregnant, it's always like, we want to gather, we want to have a calm space, we want to have the mom to be peaceful. And hold on 1 second, my dog. Let me put my. Sorry guys, I'm back. My dog was going crazy. There was someone at the door. He was just like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." One thing about my dog, he is protective of me. You know how pit bulls are. Pit bulls don't play about whoever feeds them. Anyway, so all right, so I'm back. So yeah, I just think when you really, I think Tupac was highly charged, very passionate, um, misplaced anger. Like I said, mother was incarcerated while she was pregnant. She was dealing with her own Black Panther movement and being a single mom. I wasn't aware at the time when we were in each other's presence. I was not aware, or he did not talk or share with me about what his mother was going through at the time as far as drug addiction. I don't know what part she was at, if she was in recovery or if she was going through it. Um, Later, he did invite me out to the Bay Area. As we were in Germany, we were on tour. I was close with Money and Fuse, and they're in Greg, of course. And he was like, "Hey, Al, come out to the Bay Area and kick it with me, blah blah blah." And I think at that time he was actually sleeping in the studio or staying in the studio. I don't think there was a brief moment where he wasn't settled. He never really had a home. He was like what they want to call him, a set jumper. Like he was in New York, and then he was in Philly, and then he went out to Cali, and then he was in Oakland, then he was on tour, and then he was even at the end, when his mother went, after he passed away, and his mother went to collect everything. He had $200,000 in the bank and a car. Even his house wasn't in his name. So he was never settled, unfortunately. Because he was constantly getting robbed and constantly struggling and having to pay for the community and having to pay for his boys and supporting his sister and his mother, and it was a lot. That's a lot on a young person. You know what I mean? So the highlights of the trial. So the trial was like, come on, the trial, they were like, we have 200 witnesses. We have 150 witnesses. We're going to call Foxy Brown. We're going to call Keffe D. Not Keffe D. We're going to call Suge Knight. We're going to call Corey Edwards. We're going to call Gene Deal. We're going to bring Diddy in. They had a list of everybody they were going to call. And all of a sudden, after like 2 weeks, what did Keefe D said something under his to one of the cops. He said something under his throat, under his mouth. He was like, "Dirty rat." I'm like, you got the nerve to call someone. He was like, "You rat." And then next thing you know, the prosecution was like, "Case closed. Defense is up next." The defense went up one day, and now we're going to jury instructions. Just like that. I was like, "Whoa, for real?" Wow. So we waited 30 years. Our friends, his family, people who loved him, the fans. 30 years after we deal with murder rap and all the books and 1,000 podcasters, Vlad TV and the Art of Dialogue and this and this and that. Sorry, guys. My phone was texting. To come down to 9 days. Now, does the prosecution think, oh, we got a strong, does the prosecution think, oh, we got a strong case. We got a strong case. So we just gonna we're gonna send it to the jury. We got a strong case. That's it. All the guys is words. They only got his words. They don't have anything else. It's Keefe D's words against Keefe D's words. Everybody else in the car is dead. Suge Knight said he's not going to testify. There's no what happened to the white Cadillac. The cops already testified that the white Cadillac was seen. The white Cadillac that the three person Keefe D, his nephew, Baby Lane, Orlando Anderson, and the driver, and the other two men. I forgot their names. The two cops testified that white Cadillac, that rental white Cadillac, I forgot who even rented the Cadillac. Did it come from California? I don't remember. That they saw it at Suge Knight's house prior and after the shooting. Why would, you know what I mean? Okay, let's back it up. My ADD, slow it down. Let's back it up. Pac had issues. Pac had a lot of enemies. A lot of people were jealous of him. They thought he was too loud. They were fighting over women with him, the same women. Madonna with the whole thing with Haitian Jack and Jimmy Henchman and Diddy and King Tut and Stretch. They were trying to silence him, and that was a robbery going bad because he pulled out the bang bang first, and the rest is history. And then they set him up with the girl, and then he got the great charge, and then he was sitting there to do his 4 years, and then here comes the big red devil, Shaitan, as we say in Arabic. Here comes Suge with the check while he's in, what is he, upstate Dannemore? He's in Dannemore, right? Got sentenced to 4 years for the girl, right? Or was it a minimum of 4? So, yeah, I heard Dannemore is rough. It was like upstate New York. It was like stone cold. It was not a nice place to be. And he was in there, right? And so I know he wanted to, according to his father, shout out to Billy Garland. I mean, his father had said when he went to go see him that no prison is anywhere anybody wants to be. Listen, go lock yourself in your bathroom for 24 hours and see how you feel. Just go in your bathroom and close the door. I don't care if you got a window or not. Just stay in there. That's how solitary confinement feels. Remember when we was in COVID, we was locked down, we had to be home and we couldn't go outside? That's what house arrest feels like. You know what I mean? It's not for the weak. It is not for the weak at all. But he came Suge is gonna come because Suge knew he was competing with, I guess, because the South wasn't really popping yet. It was more East and West. You had Easy and Ice Cube. I think the South, that whole Jermaine Dupri, the So Def, I don't think, or the Luke, I don't think that was really came out yet. I think it was more whoever was on the East. Suge Knight had to battle whoever was on the East Coast, the LLs, the Run DMC, the Nas, the Biggies. Well, Jay-Z wasn't even out yet either, right? And he needed someone hot, and he knew Tupac was exactly what his label. Suge Knight understood that Tupac was exactly what he needed to get his label to the next level, right? So he goes with his lawyer and a piece of toilet paper or one sheet of paper, whatever it was. I could be exaggerating. And he says, 1.4 million, I'm gonna get you out. Tupac being desperate like anybody else, he signs it, he gets out. Now, it's been 30 years. This September will be 30-year anniversary that my friend Tupac has passed away. Our beloved, right? Because shout out to the fans, right? If y'all watching this, y'all probably a fan of Tupac. The issue I have with Suge, and this is why I call him the devil, master manipulator. He hung that little note, this is what he had right here. He had a sticky note. And that sticky note said just like that, I owe you. This is what Suge Knight did to Tupac. He put that little I owe you and stuck it on his head. Like that. I owe you. Just stuck it on his head. But the truth be told, Pac was really signed with Interscope. Interscope paid the 1.4 million, not Suge Knight. So Tupac's debt went over Suge, and it went to Interscope. You feel me? But Suge Knight tried to manipulate him and control him and manipulate him with this damn I owe you. And I guess Pac at the time didn't lawyer up or didn't understand or being naive or being pressured or just wanting to get out of jail free. And then he signed his soul with the devil, because them being down with the Bloods and he's having issues with the Crips and Diddy's hanging out with the shot caller, Keffe D, down at the Crips, back from, New York, because supposedly he wanted security because he was scared. And this whole thing started, I feel like when Jake got unalived, Suge Knight's bodyguard, his friend Jake, got by allegedly one of them Valley boys. I'm not gonna say who. I don't think it was. I don't. One of them Valley boys from Hafen Park used to come over up to Clark City, over to Truman High School, and terrorize everybody in Section 5 when I was growing up. Yes, y'all did. Them Valley boys went down to Atlanta. Suge Knight's best friend Jake got unalived. It was tit for tat. Next thing you know, the next one was up next, and it was just like a little war bubbling in the back, right? So he manipulated him with the IOU, and I often ask him, watching the trial, and I say to myself, I wonder if he didn't sign with Suge. I mean, we wouldn't have our music, right? Of course. Okay, fine. But let's say Suge was like, I'll bill you out 1.4, and he was just like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm just sit here and do my 4 years. Would he still be alive today? I think he knew he was gonna die young. He felt he was gonna die young. He told people he told us all he was gonna die young. He sung about it. I think he had a lot of pain. I think he lost too many friends young, and I think he was just very jaded. But I did hear recently in an interview. I recently heard in the interview someone saying, I think it was one of his homeboys in California. I can't remember who had the interview, but he always used to be like, "Yeah, I just want, I'm ready to die. I want to die, whatever." But when he started to get some money, he was in California. Life was good, and he had a little bit of money in a house, and he was living. He was like, you know what? I don't think I want to die. I don't think I want to die. I think I want to live, and that's the sad point. Because just when he was starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, he was taken from us. Right? So back to the trial. I want to know if the Crips rented and controlled the white Cadillac. Let's play devil's advocate, right? So the narrative is you all know murder rap, right? We're not gonna go back to murder rap. We already know. Greg Caden set him up with a gallon of PCP. Told him, we're gonna put you and your family away from for life. Tell us what you know about the Biggie Smalls murder. You were there. Blah 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 blah. Right? You all need to be there. Hold on one second. I can't answer this message real quick. I need the first attempt. Okay, hold on. Let me just. All right. I had to read the message. Okay, so the narrative is with murder rap, like I said. Pac got out the Tyson fight. He was using Tyson as a muse. Oh my God, he knocked him out. Boom, 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 boom. He was in his energy, just like he used Haitian Jack, would be with the Versace and the gold and popping Cristal, hanging out with Madonna. So he used Haitian Jack as a muse. So Mike Tyson, he's like, yeah, he knocked him out. They whispered in his ear, that's the guy who stole the Death Trump chain. He went out there, he knocked him out. Was he wrong? Absolutely. Should you keep your hands to yourself? Absolutely. I'm not defending that. So urban legend has it, according to Keffe D, said he got the bang bang from Zip, Eric Von Zip. Allegedly, Foxy Brown was there to witness, or was in the car, was in Club 662. That's when Craig Mack and Run DMC was supposed to perform that night. And they did the drive-by. So it was a retaliation. It was a disrespect. It was the Crips versus Blood. It was a disrespect. You stomped out my nephew. I'm the shot caller. I called the shot. The rest is history, right? That's one story. Now the jury, you're going to read the jury instructions. So the jury instructions now are going to have to say that there's no car. There's no witnesses that are alive. There's no weapon. There's none of that. It's just Keffe D's word against Keffe D's word. Now, let's play devil's advocate. If you were in that situation, if someone came to you and said, hey, we're going to put you and all your family away for life, unless you tell me what happened. And they say, if you lie about what happened, we're going to put you away. Or we're going to hit you with the PCP charge, right? That's what it was. So he comes up with this scenario. Now, the jury has to say, do we believe the scenario or not? Now, Nevada law says, according to Nevada law, now I'm going to look it up right now. Hold on. Nevada law. Nevada law. Have you guys been, let me know in the chat. I want to know if you guys watched it or not. It was literally like 1 week of jury selection and 2 weeks. Two weeks of the prosecution, and the defense was 1 day, which was nothing. Can you use, wait. I see every law is different. So this is Nevada. I wish they never cared. Las Vegas never cared. Las Vegas didn't care 30 years ago about anybody, any gang members getting shot on the strip because they wanted to be family friendly. And they don't care now. They really don't care. Nevada doesn't care. I think there's, in my personal opinion, I think there's a politician that's running for a vote, and they need they need to get some popularity votes to say, hey, I solved the murder trial, Tupac Shakur, and they want to vote. That's what I think. So it says Nevada law does not require the prosecutions to produce a weapon, the white Cadillac, or an eyewitness. Wow. So now remember, when we go to when the jury, when they dismiss the jury now on Monday they're going to dismiss this. This is just reminding me of George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. Everyone felt the way, it was highly charged, highly emotional. We knew one had a weapon, one didn't, and we thought there was going to be a conviction. But when they sent the jury around and they read the law, the stand your ground law, that you have a right to defend yourself, when they read down the law, they came back with a not guilty. In the Casey Anthony, I live in Florida. I don't know where you guys are. Casey Anthony, same thing. She put her kid in the pet cemetery. It was crazy. Everybody thought they hit her. They overcharged her. They hit her with life. They found her with the chlorophyll. They found her with the tape. Everything. Her father was a cop. She got not guilty. They overcharged her. So you got to be careful. The jurors are human. Jurors, and you putting someone away for life. I mean, that's something you have to live with, and it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Did the prosecution tell Keffe D that that this is a case beyond a reasonable doubt? All his public defender has to do is poke holes, and you're going to need just one juror. I'm torn. I feel 50-50. I feel, as of right now, I feel 50. I'm not like he's going to walk, and I'm not like he's going to get life. Because you're going to have that one juror that's going to be like, there was all the witnesses are dead. There's no, even Suge Knight's talking about, oh, Tupac is my man and I love him. And he even said, I'm not going to come and testify because him and Keffe D grew up together as kids playing football together. So he's got loyalty to him. But I want to know, why was that white Cadillac at Suge Knight's house prior to the Mike Tyson fight and after the Mike Tyson fight? You guys don't find that odd? So like I said, the prosecutions didn't have to submit any weapon. They didn't have to submit the white Cadillac, the car. And they didn't need any eyewitnesses. All they're using is his own statement against his statement. And we know he lied because he said so much. Even Suge Knight be lying. If you listen, Suge Knight said his sister unalived Tupac. What? Every time he talk, he have a new story. I don't know. Let's see who rented the white Cadillac. Whoever rented the white Cadillac has never independently been established Keffe D said that Terrence T. Brown and a DeAndre Smith in Orlando rented it. They couldn't locate the rental records to verify. Of course, 30 years ago, who has rental records but was interested? They couldn't. Okay, so they didn't. You know, would be interested if they had cameras at Suge Knight's house. Had they had cameras at Suge Knight's house to show the Cadillac coming in before the Mike Tyson fight and then after, right? But we don't know if he had cameras on his house. And now, what about Reggie Wright Sr.? Reggie Wright Sr. was the sergeant of the Compton Police Department. And his son, Reggie Wright Jr., was also a officer in the Compton Police Department. And what happened with the city? What happened with the mayor of the city of Compton that got arrested? Let me tell you, the Compton Police Department was so bad they had to shut it down. The LAPD had to take it over. That's how bad. Yeah. Oh my God. Why did the Oh, okay, yes, I remember. There was some missing rugs. KILO rugs that were missing from a cop in the city of Compton Police Department. And something happened with the mayor, got involved, and he was upset, and it became an investigation. That's right. There was an investigation about it. And I think eventually he got arrested. But according to Frank Alexander, he was saying that Reggie Wright Jr. is one that pulled the bulletproof vest, didn't have a vest on Pac, that pulled the security off. And he lied. I had 20 security guards on Pac. Where, when, why, how, who, what, where, when, why? I don't know. Something's up with Reggie Wright Jr. Because like I said earlier, okay, listen guys, I'm on YouTube. On my YouTube channel, Safari Spice, I did a whole other video about Pac and the FBI files. I'm going to leave the link on the bottom so that you can see it. In July 2017, Reggie Wright Jr. and his father, former Los Angeles County sheriffs, my senior. So son and father were arrested after a federal indictment alleging drug trafficking and money laundering. Prosecution alleged that they were among the group involved moving white sugar and meth and some that's stuff Bob Marley likes to smoke. From LA to Memphis. That's right. I remember hearing about that. Omar Bradley, the mayor of the city of Omar Bradley, was involved in controversy surrounding the investigation in the Compton Police Department. Wow. I wonder how much time did they do? Reggie Wright Jr. was a double agent. 18 months. 18 months in federal prison. So Reggie Wright Jr. and his father, and I think the mayor of Compton, they were all in cahoots trafficking. He did 18 months in federal prison, which is like candy. That's what Diddy is, like camp candy. Candy camp. What do they call it? Candy? Kitty camp? Reggie Wright Jr. is a double agent. He was a double agent. He's a double agent because he was a cop by day, and then he was moonlighting at night. He had his own security company with Death Row Records. But why would Suge Knight leave? When Suge Knight went to prison, he left all his money and his record label to Reggie Wright Jr. You guys ever think? Let me ask you something. Do you think Reggie Wright Jr. was in the white Cadillac the night of the Tyson fight? Was it Reggie Wright Jr. the one that said he had the bang bang and threw it in the ocean? Wasn't there some interview or some speculation? That guy, why is he not investigated? This is oh my god. There's so much writing on this case. First of all, if Keffe D gets off, let me know in the comments, guys, if you think Keffe D is gonna get off or not. Whether you watched it. I'm here. Listen, I'm not here for click, guys. This is not what I do. This is not my job. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not a this is my life. This is my history. I'm talking about my friends. I'm talking about my life. I'm talking about my experience. I'm talking about that I was on tour. I'm talking about that I had history. That I was blessed to have known Tupac, you know. And I didn't see him, I didn't know him as like a hustler or a gangbanger or any of that. He was an artist. He was what Keefe D has said was true. He said, y'all have it wrong. He's like, you have it wrong. You rappers and all you entertainers got it wrong. He said it. He said when he was young, he was grifting, or he was doing what he was doing since he was like 12 or 13. He was in the streets. He was stealing. He was trying to get his stripes. He earned his ranking as being an OG, and he did whatever he had to do. He was like, you rapper. He was like the Chris Browns and the Soldier Boys and the da-da-da-da-da. He named some people. He was like, you guys are out here making millions. Why do you want to? You're out here singing and dancing. You have your artistry, and you're getting brand and liquor deals and movie deals and sneaker deals and the TV show. I mean, we're gonna use Queen Latifah for instance. I mean, we started from day one nothing. I mean, I used to dance so much. I used to have holes in our shoes, and then you get into Spike Lee invites you for a movie, and then you have your TV show. Now you have Flavor Unit Records, and then you write a couple of books, and then you have your own movie production. So he's like, why, if you have all this, you want to go be gangsters? Why you rappers want to be gangsters? He's like, you got it backwards. Let the gangsters be the gangsters, and you, the rappers, just be rappers. He was like, stop it. It's all stupid. He was like, stop it, because you look at it now. Keffe D's in jail. Suge Knight's in jail. Biggie and Pac are dead. Keffe D's probably gonna get ready to do life. I mean, was it worth it? He's like, y'all need to stop. This is foolishness. And not for nothing. However, how I want to feel about Keffe D, with age comes some accountability. Suge Knight he's not to be trusted. I still think he is the biggest red devil. Okay. Shaitan. But with age, he's like blind in one eye, whatever, in sickness, I think he got more into spirituality, or he got closer with the Bible. And I think he has some remorse. You understand what I mean? Like, was it worth it? Look how many people died. Y'all are sitting in jail. All this robbing and stealing over everybody. And, Tupac wanted to get away from Suge. He was like, I gave you a double CD. What he gave him? All Eyes on Me, Machiavelli, whatever he said, give me three. He said, I'm gonna bail you out of jail, 1.4 million, which wasn't to death row, it was actually to Interscope. Give me my three albums and be out. So he gave him a double album and an album, right? Let me look up the names so I got it right. I don't want y'all to be like, she's all wrong. Let me see. Which two albums did Tupac give? And they were fired because he was locked up for 8 months. So he was writing. He was ready. And then he felt like I'm gonna die young. He probably said, let me put all this music out here so I know even if I die, that my family's straight. That my family is straight. All eyes on me, right? It was a double album. That's what he did. He released that. All eyes on me. And then Machiavelli. Yep. So that was his three. He put a double eyes on me and then Machiavelli. And then he was out. And then Suge was like, nah, that's not enough. I need more. So then he was like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna get the Outlaws. And then he was trying to do Machiavelli records. And he was like, I'm leaving. And then Suge being greedy because he knew Dre was leaving, Snoop was leaving. He knew he needed Pop. And he tried to control him with the IOU. This is what this. Hello. Suge used a damn IOU and a piece of toilet paper that got him out of jail. But you know what? Frank Alexander, who was Tupac's bodyguard the night of the Tyson fight, said he wasn't at peace for about 2 years until he met with Afeni Shakur, Pac's mother. And Tupac's mother told Frank, said, don't beat yourself up over this. It was ordained. It was already God's. He was going to die September 13th, 2000 and, was it 2001? September 13th. No, 1996. What am I saying? 1996. Give me 1996. September 13th, 1996. And that's what his mom was like. It was ordained. There was nothing nobody could have done, stopped it or whatever. But did we ever get justice? Right? That's what we're all looking for. Justice for him. He never went to get married. He never went to get kids. We don't know. I saw this beautiful interview. Go look at his sister. His sister had a beautiful interview. So she was living in a very affluential, white neighborhood, and she got in charge of his estate after her Afeni Shakur died, rest in peace. And I think she's managing about $100 million. And she went down to Louis. She says, I want to know, where are Black people that are not on welfare, that just need a hand up? And she went to Louisiana. She went to New Orleans, Louisiana. She found a bunch of black communities. And she said, well, here's food, here's mental health, here's money, start a business, here's let's farm, let's eat right, let's exercise. Like, she's doing the good work. Tupac's sister is doing the work that she knew that her brother probably would have been doing. And she said two things. She did say this too. She said, had Pac still been alive, that there wouldn't have been a George Floyd. And there probably wouldn't have been a Trayvon Martin. I think those were the two that she said. Now, as far as Mopreme, I saw Mopreme as Pac's stepbrother at Greg's funeral, which was from Digital Underground, Shock G from Digital Underground. I was actually sitting next to Mopreme and the other one from Fubu. Damien, John, Damien, something like that from Fubu. Anyway, Mopreme's a good dude, laid back, a lot like his brother, his mannerism. But Mopreme was like, I think he knows a lot. I think he just doesn't talk a lot. He's not like Pac. He's not running his mouth. He knows a lot. He doesn't talk a lot. And I think he knows what's going on. I think he's being quiet about it. I think he's being smart about it. He actually sued Keffe D and 100 of his co-conspirators. Meaning, and I thought the case was going one way. But when the prosecution closed it really quickly, I was like, uh-oh. Because when the prosecution started to hear that these cops started stealing files and stealing boxes, the jury, that it was getting shaky. So the prosecution was like, I rest my case. Because I think it was Detective Ladd. Was it Detective Ladd? I think when they started asking they started asking the detectives, like, was this box missing? Was this missing? Was that missing? They were like, yeah, they were stealing files and blah, 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 blah. And then that's when they pulled the plug. I thought, because Kurt Burrows was supposed to come on in, and Kurt Burrows said he had 30 boxes. I don't know how. This is what he said. I'm only going to repeat what people say. I don't know. These are not my words, guys. It's not my words. But Kurt Burrows had said that he was homeless, right? So he was homeless. So I don't know how he was able to hold in storage so much stuff. But he had 30 boxes in storage, and he was the one that kept the records, all the finances. And it would, back in the 90s, everything was pen to paper. Pen to paper, pen to paper. There was probably no computer, laptop, Excel, whatever. He was just, and he kept all the fight. And he was going to come in there and testify who rented the car. Why did they rent the car? Why did they drive to Vegas for the fight? Why didn't they fly? Who was security? Allegedly, this $1 million payment or $500,000 payment. I've heard it was $1 million payment for Pac and Suge, but because only was Pac got hurt and not Suge, the payment was only $500,000. Then Gene Dale said Gene Dale was supposed to come in and testify, and then he was saying that he saw the $1 million check from Jimmy Hinchman and for Black Ground Records and Jerry Hankerman or someone like that. So Gene Deal was supposed to come in. So I thought they were trying to take the case. I thought the feds was upset because they lost that federal conviction with Diddy. He just got hit 4 years for, I got to stay within the community guidelines. You guys know what Diddy's away for. If you don't know, just Google it. I thought they were going to come back and piece it all, the hit for hire, federal RICO, bring down Keefe, spin it back, get a federal RICO on Diddy, and with the hit for hire, with the $1 million check, with blah, 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 you know what I mean? That's what I thought. That's how I thought the route that it was going. But they didn't call him as witness. They ended everything short and didn't call him. So I think when the prosecution ends short, they kind of feel like they have a strong case. No, I mean, they had 200 witnesses. They only called 24. 24 out of 200. You know what I mean? That's what I had thought. Ooh. So I feel 50-50, and they ended it so short. I want to play this little video real quick. Let me play. Hopefully the sound, I was having an issue with my sound to try to play this video. Hopefully the sound will play. Let me share my screen. And then go over here. Try to share this. Oh, wait. No. Try to share my screen.
We start to get along a little bit better and stop coming up with the old adage when one looked at the other one that he's mad dogging me. And we would live a happier life, and things like this wouldn't have to happen.
All right, so that's well put, and of course, we thank you for taking time out of your busy afternoon to call us and share that knowledge with us.
That's very good, and my condolences does go out to Tupac's family.
Find out did Tupac die?
He passed over an hour ago.
Calls about Tupac Shakur came to V103 within an hour of his death.
Is this really dead?
Yep.
DJs Greg Street and Sean Hutchin call it an obvious loss to the rap industry.
It was a bad situation. I think he really got caught up into something that wasn't probably directed at him. It was just, something that happened. I think that if he could have been able to continue with where he was going, I think you'd have seen a side of Tupac that, the people, he was going to grow to another level that he had been at.
Excuse me, sir. How old were you when you made your first million?
Hold on, let me
We're trying to get
skip
advice
over
from
this
the
commercial.
I started calling people, right? They're saying, dude, go get your shit, get out of Vegas, leave. I go, I can't even drive back to the car. Go. You know, so it died. That was it. It died.
I mean, eulogy was the characteristic mode of his rap career, especially near the end when he's speaking about if I die tonight, how many brothers fell victim to the street. And, you know, death, I see death around the corner. All of these issues. But death was always linked to him in his own rhetoric to suffering. So for him, the rhetorical acknowledgement of death was always linked to its acknowledgement as a form of suffering. And why does God allow death and destruction to occur? If you listen to Unconditional Love, he says, asking his mama why he has this urge to die. And I think that it was because of the extraordinary pain that he endured. The abandonment of his mother and father, the desultory, peripatetic, that is, moving around, domestic life that he had where he was homeless. By the time he was in junior high in New York, in the ghettos of the Harlem and Manhattan and the Bronx, he had moved 22 times. He was at first not a gangster or thug, but an artsy, kind of bohemian rapper. And all of this caused him enormous difficulty because of his poetic gift. People laughed at him, or his clothes, because he didn't have many, laughed at him. And I think he endured an enormous amount of psychic and social suffering. And it came out in his music, and it came out with his rush to the grave, which was striking in one so young. There was a kind of complete denial of the possibility of hope. He proclaimed time and again, young, strapped, and don't give an F, hopeless, I'm hopeless. And that was his life.
People love to, have mercy and sympathy for everything, from the animals to the whales to fur to everything except us, your youth, the ones who you've given no attention to, who become adults with no compassion. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you walk by a street and you was walking on concrete and you saw a rose growing out of concrete, even if it had messed up petals and it was a little, to the side, you would marvel at just seeing a rose grow through concrete. So why is it that when you see some ghetto kid grow out of all of the dirtiest circumstances, and he can talk and he can sit across from you, make you smile, make you cry, make you laugh, all you can talk about is my dirty rose, my dirty stems, and how I'm leaning crooked to the side. You can't even see that I came up out of that.
Well, I think initially the sense I got in talking to different people was that people weren't talking.
Boy, she wasn't lying about that when she said nobody was talking. Do you see the witnesses that came to the Keffe D trial? They didn't talk. The witnesses didn't talk. That's what was out. Was it Al Sharpton always saying, like, Tupac got unalive with on the busiest night in Vegas at the Mike Tyson fight at the height of his career, people everywhere. He was like, if Elvis, or was it Benjamin Crump? If Elvis got shot down in the middle of Las Vegas on the busiest night, what is with Black culture with the no snitching? And I'm not going to say that. And that was another problem, I think, with the detectives and everybody, or Russell Poole. Nobody was talking. And then the cops would just cover up, cover up, cover up. Nobody's talking. And they just kept covering it up. So that's frustrating, right? Anyway, guys, like I said, in the bottom, I put a link to another video I did about Pac and the FBI files. And jury instructions are going to come on Monday. So we're gonna see what the jury instructions will be. Let me see if I can look it up. They asked him, they were like, "You want to be here for the jury instructions?" Keffe D was like, "Nope." He was like, "Nope." So, um, who was the shooter? Was it proven beyond a reasonable doubt? Like I'm saying, whoever that was, Orlando Anderson's no longer here. It's Keefe D's word against Keefe D's word. Did Keefe D intentionally help or encourage the killing? I believe so, only because Detective Ladd said he went from baby gangster, the gangster, to OG to original gangster, and that he was a shot caller. He was higher up in the ranks, and that he would have been a shot caller. That's what the detective last says. It's extremely important because prosecution did not claim Keefe D personally fired the shots. Nevada law allows someone to be held responsible if they aided, encouraged, counseled, commanded, or otherwise. It's conspiracy, right? Conspiracy. Did he? He got a plea bargain for like 10 years. He decided not to take it. Did he act before or during? Um, the jury does not have to actually identify whoever the trigger person was. They did have the woman who did the autopsy did testify that he did pass away through homicide. And they also had to prove that was, I thought the prosecution did a good job proving that it was a retaliation. The retaliation that there was a war started, there was a war prior, a war after, and that it was a retaliation kind of hit, and that he would have been the caller. And this is all PPD's words. There was a case in Nevada. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. Hold on. Let me put this on mute. Well, I'm gonna look something up real quick. Hold on, I'm gonna mute this. I'm here, guys. I wanted to make a couple of shout outs to Ticket TV. I watch them all the time. Straight Game TV. Sometimes it's Star Report. If I'm looking for a laugh, it's he's a comedian. Um, Carl versus State. Let me see. Carl versus State. Let me look at this case real quick. Carl versus State, Nevada. There was a case. Let me make sure my mute. But okay, so you can look this up. There was a case, Call versus State 100 NEV 164678 P.2D 669 1984 Nevada Supreme Court case. It is cited that Nevada law concerning criminal evidence and sufficiency of evidence. It was a murder case where they used his own words against him in Nevada, and they didn't get a guilty verdict. Hold on one second, I gotta turn off my TikTok. My TikTok is going. No, TikTok likes to time out after a certain time. What was this case? Let me explain this case. Each state has different laws. But if I still think if they're gonna, if Keffe D gets found guilty and he gets life, I think they're gonna run it back and try to hit Diddy with a RICO. Did you hear 50 Cent was coming out with a part 2 documentary against him? It's crazy. So Carl versus State. Ronald Frederick Carl was convicted of second degree. He appealed, arguing that the jury's instructions about self-defense improperly shifted the burden of proof onto him. The Supreme Court said the prosecution still held the Constitution responsibility to prove the defendant's guilty reason beyond a reasonable doubt. Carr argued that the jury's instructions saying certain circumstances must appear meant that he had to prove self-defense. The Supreme Court rejected the argument. It explained that the phrase must appear did not mean Carl had to prove anything. Instead, that it meant the circumstances necessary to self-defense had to exist for the defense to apply. Can you use somebody's words against him? And if he's saying, I just lied, and there's no witnesses, I don't know. They're going to have one juror. There's always that one juror. There's going to be that one juror that's going to argue. If they come back with a verdict Monday, Tuesday is not guilty. I'm 50% leaning not guilty. And if Keffe D is not guilty, that means the feds need to go pick up Reggie Wright Jr. and get to the bottom of this for once and for all. If not for nobody else, it's for his family, for Tupac's family. It's been too long. It's been 30 years for this. I really still don't think they care. I think there's a politician, there's somebody running for politics in Vegas, and they need this for likes and for votes. I feel like somebody's doing this for votes. Who? I don't know. We gotta look who's the new politicians coming in. Who's the new politicians coming in for Vegas? But anyway, guys, like I said, pick up your Bible, pick up anything, your Quran, whatever you read, pray, have discernment, give grace, pray for the family. It's just sad. And there's and what's even more sad, there's a lot of Tupacs out there. Tupac's only one that we know about because he was a public figure, but there's a lot of injustices being done with a lot of young black kids that we can do better. But on that note, I'm going to go, guys. Love you. Hit that like button, subscribe, share it with a friend, and go ahead and look at the link that I'm going to leave before about Tupac and the FBI files. All right. Thanks.